Hello and welcome back to a cold and windy Johnny Rock Stadium for another episode of Inside CTFC. It was an impressive victory for the men's side against Carlisle last weekend, but with fixtures against Walsall and Cambridge to come up, as well as much more around the club, there's plenty to delve into. Here's what's coming up in today's show.
We speak to striker Andy Williams. We bring you another Get to Know segment. We hear the 5 big talking points from the ladies' season so far. We get the latest from Michael Duff's press conference. We preview this weekend's opponents, and we take a look at the rest of the games in League 2.
Striker Andy Williams joined Cheltenham in the summer on a 1-year deal and has since scored 5 goals for the club so far this season. We got Ryan Pelletrat to catch up with him to see about how he's enjoying life under Michael Duff.
First of all, what have you made of Cheltenham's start to the season? Pretty generic question, but yeah, what have you made of it so far?
Yeah, I think it's been good. I think in the camp there's been a little bit of disappointment every now and again, which for me has been the best thing because it shows the positivity in the camp and the drive to do more and do better, which is really good. But yeah, I think after a few games that we've had, I think you take third in the league at this stage of the season, and some good performances as well. I think of late some of the performances have probably dipped off a little bit, but we've still been grinding out results, which is another good thing that you need to do throughout the season.
Definitely. And you talk about, you've had good performances, but you've also had some tough opponents that you've faced. So is there like an opponent or a particular player that has that stuck out for you, that has caused you the most problems as a team or personally as you as a player?
Yeah, it was tricky. We've had a few. Obviously, we had a tough game against Forest Green, and unusual for us, we didn't have a lot of the ball. Sort of remembering more recent games, really Oldham made it really difficult for us setting off deep and limiting us to not many chances in the game, which was tricky to break down at the time. And even the weekend they had 2 really strong, quick athletes, their 2 centre-backs. So me and Alfie were a little bit isolated at times, but normally I don't mind sort of being 2v2 with the centre-backs. But yeah, just didn't quite get that joy. They were quite, quick and strong and getting back in and recovering well and not sort of limiting us to even less chances on the weekend. So I think Carlisle was a good game. Actually, they were a good team, and they impressed me quite a bit considering where they were at when we played there previously in previous years. So yeah, I think that they were one of the more sort of developed teams that have come on and look good. But we've got some more tough games coming. So I think they'll probably, if you ask me again in 6 games, they'll probably be one of the next few that we'll play that will probably be the sort of bigger improvements and better teams to play against.
And obviously, you say you've had a few tough games, but you've also scored 5 goals in the league this season. Is there a particular secret to success that you've had so far?
I think just playing in a good team, to be honest. If you're a striker playing in a good team, you'll get chances created for you, and then you'd like to think, as a good striker, you'd like to think you could take them, and I've managed to take a few. I still, missed a few as well, which was always a bit frustrating, and I'd like to probably create a few more if I could for myself. I think the last few games in particular have had limited opportunities, and so that's something I'd like to work on. I think on Saturday in particular, Alfie did really well at looking after the ball and getting the team at the pitch, and as a result he had a few chances off the back of it, and that's something I'd like to sort of improve out of the last few games in particular.
Yeah, and you've been at Cheltenham before as a 15-year-old coming through when they got promoted to League 1. How was your time here? Obviously it's been a lot shorter, the season's just only begun in retrospect, but how was that compared to your first tenure at the club?
It's probably similar to I actually wasn't here for that long before. It was sort of a 6-month period.
Oh right, yeah.
But yeah, it's obviously a lot different club now. I think its structure seems a lot stronger, and it's a lot more united. I think there was a little bit of segregation back then in between the sort of departments, but here and now it's a real strong unit from top to bottom, and there's a lot of cohesion between the youth team and the first team, and it's a real good place to be. I think it's a nice environment. It's a really good setup we've got here, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
And from the reaction we've seen on social media, you've quickly become a fan's favourite, but obviously you haven't played in front of them just yet. So could you put into words how it feels to be able to finally step out in front of the fans once that opportunity arises?
Yeah, it'd be nice. Obviously, I'm unaware of a lot of that not being on social media, so it's nice to hear that that's the response. So, yeah, it's pleasing to know that. But yeah, it'd be great to. It's massively missed, to be honest. I think we've had a few games where we've had a few difficulties as well after scoring goals where we've maybe conceded quite soon afterwards. And I genuinely think things like the fans would make a bit of an impact on that. We're sort of, when we score, because we're dominant in games and we're playing well, we feel like we're expecting each other to score, but then as there's no reaction other than each other cheering a little bit when you do score, it goes a bit flat, which I think if obviously you're at home and you score, the crowd would hopefully be bouncing for a little bit and probably help the atmosphere in amongst the group as well to sort of stay a bit more focused after scoring. And I think that's something that'll be key when they do come back in. But yeah, like I say, hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later, because it's just not football playing without them at the moment.
So hopefully that day comes soon. But you've worked with a plethora of strikers in your time at your short time at Cheltenham, like the likes of George Lloyd, Alfie May, Ruben Reid. Have you taken anything from their playing styles in their game that you can put into yours?
Yeah, I think it's a real good mix we've got here. We've obviously played with Alex a bit when he's come on as well, and we've got a good mix of sort of different qualities. I think everyone brings a different quality to the team, which is the greatest thing. And we're all given information before a game of what they expect for us, and the greatest thing here really is we're the first line of defence too. So although the defenders are sort of really, really good at what they do, you know, we're able to help out and sort of make sure we're not just switching off and waiting for the ball to come back to us. We're sort of helping win it back as well. And yeah, I've taken a little bit from everyone. I think Ruben's hold-up play, I've always been impressed when I played against him before, and that's something I'd love to be able to do a little bit better like he does. And then obviously Alfie's link-up as well. There's loads of aspects from all of them that you can do. There's certain things probably Alex can do that I'll probably never be able to do, but you know, there's little bits from all of them. It's a joy to play with really, and hopefully I'm bringing something to the party as well.
Just to finish off, you were playing with some younger lads in the squad like George Lloyd and Alice Chapman, and you know, I'm a bit shameless to say, but it's my 21st birthday today, so I wanted to wonder if you have received any advice when you were younger, or have any advice to give that has really made an impact on your career.
Yeah, I think the first thing that I got told when I was in the youth team was the harder you work, the luckier you get, and that's something that I've tried to maintain throughout my career. Just sort of try and leave it all out on the pitch, and inevitably, even if you're having a bad game, if you're working your socks off, then you might get one that falls your way, and you just got to keep getting in the right positions. And you know, even if you miss the odd one, you just keep getting in there, and eventually the chances will come. But yeah, I think it's a lot to do with hard work and make sure your mentality's right, make sure you're applying yourself in the right way on and off the field, and like the message is here, just being a good person, to be honest, and I'll try my best to be that.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Andy.
Thank you, no problem, cheers.
The under-18 side did unfortunately get knocked out of the FA Youth Cup last week when they lost to Exeter City in extra time. The mood is still high in the camp, and so we decided to get to know another member of the squad.
Well, when I was in under-13s, I got offered the scholarship early because I had some interest from some other clubs, but then that didn't really materialise into anything because I got injured long term after that. So yeah, that's how I got offered my scholarship. So I started off when I was 6 at my local club called Hampton, and then after a year or two there, I joined Forest Green. I played there for 2 years, and then I joined Cheltenham when I was 9, and I've been here ever since. So I'm number 10, attacking midfielder, creative, and like to score goals. Tough question. I think recently it would have to be winning 4-0 in the first round of the Youth Cup and scoring 2 goals in the game. I think recently that's been my favourite football memory. Well, ever since I was young, I've always loved Messi, watching Messi, and just the way that he dribbles past people. I think that's definitely my favourite player. Well, resting a lot, sleeping well, and just eating the right food to feel prepared. think just to always work hard and just give 100% when you're doing something you want to do. Or I think it's got to be Charlie Patterson. Probably be maybe at Hartbury or somewhere. Just like trying to keep going with football and keep trying to kind of get a pro contract. Yeah.
With the ladies' side still waiting to get back in action after the national lockdown, we decided to get Daniel Kahn and Bruno Rees, who've reported on many games, to give us 5 things they've learnt from the start to this season.
With the season still on standstill for the ladies due to lockdown 2, we thought we would look back at the 5 things we have learnt so far from the season.
So first up is Jade Grove, who is on fire. Robiness's manager Tom Davis praised Grove's recent performance on contributing with goals for her teammates. "We're building in the right process," he said, "and giving her the right opportunities. It's nice she's getting the rewards for those kind of goals. Having joined last season from Aston Villa and scoring 7 goals in 8 games thus far, this is the best start to the striker's life at Cheltenham."
And long may it continue. And on to part 2, it's all part of the process, and we are starting to see that in the recent results. In the early parts of the season, the ladies started off with mixed fortunes after picking up great opening day win at home to Cheshire United. After defeats against the likes of Swindon Town and Maidenhead United, the message constantly coming out from the manager Tom Davies was one of "it's all part of the process." And recent results prior to lockdown 2 demonstrates the process starting to take place. The Robinesses were 3 unbeaten in all competitions before the second lockdown started.
On to Charlotte Criddle, who is a free-kick genius. She has picked up momentum with her technical ability of free-kick goal scoring as she keeps adding it to a tally and leaving fans stunned. The free-kick genius just can't stop scoring, with 4 free-kick goals so far this season, plus other 2 open goals in the FA Cup match, and unbelievable stats. It's important she continues to get those rewards for this earlier on. We'll continue to see more of this as well as the season unravels.
And on to the 4th point, the abundance of options starting to cause selection headaches for manager Tom Davies. One major positive so far this season has been the competition for places in all areas of the pitch. Manager Davies described this as a good problem to have after the Poole Town win. In that game, Academy graduate Sophie Griffiths, who is pictured behind me, made her first team debut from the bench and impressed with her performance in attack. Griffiths and other Academy players will be looking for more chances once the season resumes. And on to the final point, the dynamic CTFC midfield causing multiple problems for the opposition. Following on from point 4, one of the strongest areas in the Cheltenham team is the strength in depth and quality in the midfield. All of Charlotte Criddle, Abby Bevan, Ruby Scahill and Alex Kemsky offer something different in the midfield, all which cause problems to the opposition. From the tenacity of Abby and Ruby to the solidity of Charlotte and Alice, this midfield has got it all and is a key area where most games are won for the Robinesses.
And women's football will be back in action at the big local stadium on the 20th of December as the ladies welcome league leaders Southampton FC.
Cheltenham welcome Walsall to the Johnny Rock Stadium for their League 2 fixture this weekend, and with the side currently sat in 3rd place in the league, there's plenty to be happy about. Here's what Michael Duff had to say in his most recent press conference.
It's a funny league. Everyone said, "Oh, that'll be a home win." You know, we've had a couple of them this year ourselves, so they'll be disappointed with the game. Like you said, I think they've had five away games and they've not been beat, but they've not won one. So it probably tells you everything about them at the minute. They're difficult to beat, but they're not quite doing enough to win games. I think they've only lost 2. We've lost 4 already. So I think they're a dangerous team. I think they're the sort of team that they could turn up, win 2-0, and not many people in the league would be surprised. So it's definitely, we have to be at it, as you are in every game in this league. They've got players that can hurt you, and they'll be looking, they'll be smarting from the game on last week, so they'll be looking for a reaction from themselves.
You've been looking for the team in recent weeks to toughen up a little bit. I suppose at Carlisle they did that. Is the challenge now to go on a run and do it consistently?
Well, it is, but I think we've won 11 games already this season. So we need to be careful that we keep asking too much. We're 3rd in the league, so I don't think we're not too far off it. We haven't been on a bad run. We've lost a couple of games we wouldn't have wanted to lose because we've been 1-0 up. But if you take all the emotion out of it, you take how the games went, I think everyone at the football club or anyone in the league would probably take being 3rd after 12 games. So, yes, we want to go again. But just be careful that we're not asking too much all the time. You can't always be brilliant. You can't always be playing open, expansive football and win 3-0. The league doesn't let that happen. We've had it, like I said, Walsall had it last week. The key is, can we be more consistent in terms of when we do go 1-0 up, if we go 1-0 up, can we just not have that nervy 5 minutes, which I think we did well on Saturday. But again, it's putting can't think of the word, the realisation of where we're actually at. I think we've been all right. So we'll be looking for another performance and another result, obviously. But are we demanding another run, or I'm not sure it's a case of that. Let's just take every game as it comes.
With only 1 win in the last 5 and just 3 all season, Walsall currently sit in 13th place in League 2. And so here's Aaron Mares with even more about our opposition this weekend.
Walsall come to town this Saturday off the back of a disappointing loss to bottom of the table Southend United. This 88th minute goal sealing it late for them. Currently 13th place in League 2, Walsall's danger man is Elijah Adebayo, the West Midlands side's joint top scorer with Calvin Lavery, the pair both bagging 4 goals this season, with the former being used more frequently as an impact sub so far. Adebayo, of course, was on loan at Cheltenham Town in the second half of the 2017-18 season, making 7 appearances and scoring 2 goals. The 22-year-old scored the equaliser in Walsall's recent 1-1 draw against Mansfield. Darryl Clark's side's last league win came against Crawley Town. A 1-0 win at the Bank Stadium is their only victory in the last 8 league games. With the game nearing the home straight, Matt Sadler's strike from this goalmouth scramble helped the Sadlers ride away with all 3 points. Speaking after the Southend game, Clark said, "This performance was nowhere near good enough. My players know that. We have to get back into training with a fresh week ahead of us and be a damn sight better next week." So it's looking very likely that the Robins will have a tough test this Saturday at 3 p.m, with Walsall looking to right the wrongs of last week.
As League 2 rolls into its 13th game week, there's plenty to be excited about. So here's Alex Billions with a few games he thinks you should keep an eye on.
Another action-packed schedule of Sky Bet League 2 action awaits us this weekend, with huge clashes at the top and bottom of the table. Southend picked up their first win of the season at Walsall last time out, although they will face stiff opposition from a Cambridge side who are enjoying second place in the league, despite dropping 2 points to Barrow in stoppage time of their meeting last Saturday. 2 struggling sides go head-to-head as Stevenage host Bolton. The Hertfordshire club narrowly escaped relegation last term, but now find themselves in the drop zone once again, and having to face up to a Wanderers side who last ran out 2-0 winners against Salford. The Trotters are punching well below their weight at this level of the pyramid, but only find themselves in 17th after 12 games. But as Bolton start to climb the standings, so do Mansfield, who recently appointed Nigel Clough as their manager after the departure of Graham Coughlin last month. They host Colchester off the back of 3 consecutive away wins in all competitions. And finally, Cheltenham were of course victorious over Carlisle at the weekend, but now the Cumbrian side must dust themselves down and make the long journey south to West Sussex, where they face Crawley. Chris Beech's men had won all of their home games up to that point and still occupy a playoff spot, although Crawley star man Tom Nichols will be aiming to add to his 4 league goals this season.
Unfortunately, that does bring another week's show to a close, but as you can see, I am in the stand with the all-new cardboard cutouts, and we're really thankful as a club for fans joining in into initiatives like this, because it'll really help the players when they come out on Saturday to finally see faces back in the crowd. But if you do want to watch this weekend's game against Walsall, you can by just paying for that £10 match pass on iFollow, which you can get to via the club's website. But for now, I'll see you next week.